The following podcast is a W2M Network original production. Visit W2Mnet.com for all of our other great podcasts, plus news, reviews, articles, and opinions from the worlds of wrestling, video games, football, and entertainment.
You're listening to
Wrestling to the Max.
Alert. Clear all channels.
This is an exclusive.
How you like that?
And your hosts, Gary Vaughan, Sean Garmer, and Paul Leazar.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Wrestling to the Max's TLC 2017 review, and we are brought to you by W2Mnet.com, the place where you and all your great wrestling needs and a lot more. And make sure you don't forget to go hit that subscribe button at Wrestling to the Max wherever you get your podcast from. Plus, don't forget to go rate, review. That also gives us a little bit of help. That lets people know what you think about us, and we want to things too. I appreciate everyone who's already done that. Don't forget also, give a big shout out to the guys over at 411mania.com and lastwordonprowrestling.com. Both are great supporters. Want to give them some big shout out and love. I am Gary Vaughan, and along with me tonight is Mr. Paul Leazar.
Heyo.
And Mr. Sean Garmer.
What's up, everybody?
And guys, we're about to jump into this TLC. A lot's going on here, and I know there's been a lot of changes on this card, and it's kind of funny when we did our preview, on a regular episode of Wrestling to the Max this past week. We had a lot of predictions, so those predictions, some were coming true, some were not even available because we had a lot of things kind of change ways and change plans based on some of the things. We had Roman Reigns out and, of course, Bray Wyatt out. So those are a couple of guys we didn't have a part of the show. And, apparently there's this strain of illness going through the roster. It's kind of funny because, people were probably questioning this, if they didn't even read the news on the internet. So that's what's going on, apparently. I mean, Paul, I've been reading a little bit here. I don't know what the rumors are true or what, but this is kind of crazy, this whole thing going on.
Yeah, it's meningitis, and I came across this while I was looking at the news for the Thursday show, and it didn't seem like that big a deal. Like, they had already isolated it. You couldn't really tell. I was like, oh, okay, that's kind of interesting, but I don't know if it's really going to matter. And then suddenly it matters. And then I kind of felt like a jackass for not putting it on the list. But, so that's my story. This was, I can't say that I was too broken up about it because it took the card from a one-match show to a two-match show, right? And on that end, I really appreciate that WWE sort of scrambled to give you something worth watching. But, if they don't get a handle on this can get out of hand pretty quickly because meningitis likes to spread very, very fast. And I know they've tried already to sort of keep people off the road if they've got it, but it's kind of a serious situation. Yeah,
you have to wonder if maybe Enzo might have it or something after what he's been going through. But yeah, you got to give WWE credit, right? And it sucks for AJ because he had to fly 18 hours or whatever, but to go and have a dream match like that on just a TLC, that could have been a Royal Rumble match or a WrestleMania match or whatever. They just gave it to you on TLC, and then to include Kurt Angle and actually have it go through, because the whole time I was sitting there going, oh, they'll just include Jason Jordan at some point. They'll cut it off. And no, he was there in the match and everything, and it's just like, wow, that happened. And you really got the greatest hits and all that stuff. So, I think before you even talk about the show, you have to give WWE credit for making the changes and making the best of what they had.
Yeah, for sure. And And that's one thing we can definitely say. And I'm excited about talking about these matches. So let's go ahead and jump into the card so we can get to those matches later on in the show. First thing we're going to just talk about, probably the biggest throwaway thing, and you guys know what I'm going to talk about. That's Alicia Fox and Sasha Banks. Banks' statement wins it. We kind of expected that. I mean, they gave a little length to this match. I don't really know if we really needed to, but they do the kind of normal antics with, Alicia Fox getting out of the ring, throwing a tantrum, blah, blah, blah. This is just a pre-show match. I don't even know if you guys watched it. I watched it because at least one of us needed to, and I paid the price if you guys didn't. What did you watch it, Sean?
I thought it was fine. Like, I didn't think it was anything, we need to spend like 10 minutes talking about, but it was what it was. Thought they, the person who won. The person who I thought was going to win won, and it seemed like you're just putting it on. At least credit to them for trying to make a story out of it, right? And they could have just had it be a nothing match. So there's that.
Yeah, I mean, for what this was, this honest to God might be Alicia Fox's best match on her entire career. And that might be saying something.
Oh, boy.
God. Wow.
Yeah, I don't normally pay attention to a lot of Alicia Fox's work. I've never focused that much. So maybe you're probably right, Paul. But I think the most I've really ever appreciated her work is those Stone Cold impressions she's done in the past. Yes. I always thought those were a blast. Those to me, that was the best Alicia Fox you could ask for. Besides that, though, I'm really not that invested. I think we could be, but just at this point, I'm super not invested in. Hopefully, Sasha Banks can move on and actually be on the main card and do something. But who knows? They're always throwing her around from top to bottom, so we'll have to see. But, this show does not, stop when it comes to the women's division. We actually start this entire show off with a big match and something that a lot of people have been looking forward to, and that is the introduction of Asuka to the main roster. And Emma is the one that is going to be the victim here. But, saying that, it wasn't so much a victimization in this match of Emma. They actually had a pretty decent match here. I think that they gave Emma a lot more than I ever would have imagined they would. She got a lot more offense. This was a little bit more even keel. It almost seemed like Asuka was toying with her most of this match, and it started to ramp up, and eventually we did get to the end here where Emma is forced to, tap out here. But at the end of the day, though, I mean, once again, Paul, I'm surprised at how long this thing lasted.
I'm surprised at the length and how much they gave Emma, too. And my question to you guys right now is, do you think that took away from making Asuka look as impressive as she was in NXT?
Ooh, it's a good question, and I think that I kind of thought that same thing myself. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I'm a little torn on that. I do think that, yes. I think if you've never watched NXT, which there's a lot of people out there that don't watch it, that means that you just think that Asuka is this interesting person who is supposedly dominant but yet doesn't dominate right off the bat. So, yes, I do think it kind of hurts the character in a way. I don't know, though. I think that they're going to give us some other Asuka moments later on, but I think this was also partial for Emma to maybe not make her look so bad. But then again, Sean, maybe I'm totally wrong.
I think the story was that Asuka coming from NXT, which is the lower level of WWE, and so therefore, because Emma is already on the main roster, you can't be automatically better than anybody that's on the main roster. You have to work at it. You have to prove that you're better. And I think Asuka did win decisively in the end, right? It just took her a while to get there. And I think we have to remember, too, that, Emma was one of Asuka's first, big opponents in NXT, and they had a good match there. So, if you want to go by that, and Asuka made her have to work for that too. Yeah, you could have had Asuka go and squash Emma in about a couple of minutes, and I think it would have been fine too, just because, Emma has lost to people, but she did have to win a match to be in this match, right? So there's that as well. I think, you can make a lot about a debut, and, they did the same thing to Shinsuke, and, he is what he is right now. But I don't know that it's so much about the debut. It's about who they paired him with afterwards and how they've kind of made him not feel special. You can have this debut and still make her feel special afterwards too, It
just seems counterproductive to not have Asuka come in and immediately feel special, right? She's supposed to be this big thing. They've hyped her up since the last Raw pay-per-view and had her just sort of come in and have a fine match, right? I thought this was a really solid match, right? The work was good. I really enjoyed the opening few minutes, right? Because everything just looks so smooth and seamless, and I don't think you always get that still in a women's division match on either brand, and that's just because they've separated out so many people. But Asuka just did not come off like this big special thing that she was in NXT. She very much just felt like another person, and to me, that immediately sort of takes away what you're supposed to be connecting to people who have not seen her before, right? They did, I think they did right in the entrance, right? They gave her the big thing where she came out carrying the white sheet again. That was fine. Like, it was all cool, and the crowd didn't really know, I think, how to react to her as she came down, but I don't think they really gave you a great incentive to try to cheer her on throughout the match either, other than Emma's really good work as a heel, honestly, but I don't feel like you got to see any of that explosiveness that Asuka has throughout anything. She just very much felt like, here's a person, she has this big history in NXT, but if you haven't seen that, that's fine, but here she is, and she's not really what we, I think, had panned her out to be as far as presentation on either the video packages or, anything that just was supposed to make her feel special. It just came off very blah.
Yeah, and the commentary was contradicted to each other, too.
Mm-hmm.
You had Michael Cole talking about how fun she is and all this other stuff, and then Corey was talking about how dominant she is, and Booker T was talking about the whole, she's coming from NXT thing, and it's like, get on one page, you guys.
Yeah.
One page. You've got 3 different things going on, and you don't know what you're supposed to be thinking about her if you don't know about her. And again, it's like they know this about the fact that a lot of people don't watch NXT at all. We know this, and it's just the always disconnect between the two. And I wonder if part of that is also because Triple H isn't there, right? He's in Chile, so he's not there to kind of let Vince know, hey, we might want to book her differently.
Mm-hmm. And it's not to take away, I think, from anything that Emma got in this match. I love Emma. I really want her to succeed as well. I don't think this was the time. Excuse me. I don't think this was the time to do that. What they accomplished in this match, and unless Asuka just comes into Raw and starts steamrolling random people that they're going to bring in, from the Indies to just sort of job to her for a while. I don't think this was a great first impression, honestly.
I worry about that too, because you did that with Nia Jax.
I'm right there with you too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. No, I'm there with you guys. And looking at this, yeah, Sean, you're exactly right. Nia Jax is in from NXT, very dominant. Maybe not as dominant as Asuka, but still very dominant. They still did not put her in the right position to make her super over the top, dominant. And it looks like that could be the case early on. I mean, we're just talking about a debut match, but it does kind of make you a little concerned coming out of this match that we're going to get a little bit of the same treatment. Mm-hmm. And what you're saying, Sean, may be exactly true. They do look at NXT as the college compared to the pro. So guess what? All those great things that you did down there, they mean nothing. Like, I get it. That's true here in WWE. But I still feel like if you're going to pump her up as much as you have to at least showcase those great things about her. Let her do some of her greatest hits. and maybe not make it as short as we once thought, maybe a minute and a half. But, I mean, come on. You give her a little bit more pizzazz. I kind of felt like at times that they really did kind of make her look vulnerable. I didn't really appreciate that. I think the idea would have been better if they would have done kind of what I was kind of asking earlier. Was she toying with Emma? Was she just playing with her just to see what she could get? And at times I felt that, and at times I definitely didn't. At times I felt like definitely Emma was actually controlling part of this match, and it concerns me. It does concern me, but am I going to have high hopes? Sure. I'm a huge Asuka fan. I hope, when we get her on Raw tomorrow, she's knocking people out and just going through, and hopefully we get a lot of that, because I think that's what makes Asuka Asuka. You take that away from Asuka, she's just another competitor, and, well, that's why the women's division is not exactly the hottest thing on Monday Night Raw, correct? I mean, so it is what it is. But, I think the exciting thing is that we do have her a part of the WWE roster finally, and that's what's exciting. And, people were introduced to a lot of what she can do. Maybe not everything that she can do, but a lot of what she has to offer. So there you go. Well, we move on from there. And we actually get a chance to see Elias Samson. And that's interesting because, he doesn't really have a match on this show, but, he is there. And he starts to do a song and starts getting fruit thrown at him and vegetables and things. And, yes, apparently Jason Jordan decided he did not like Elias' song and just started chunking stuff at him. This is the part of the show where I really wanted to send Paul a clip of Mrs. Doubtfire, a drive-by fruiting.
Yes.
But I decided that, that may be a little silly. But, yeah, a drive-by fruiting.
You should have. Mrs. Doubtfire is one of my favorite movies. I absolutely know it by heart, and I can picture that exact scene right now as we're talking about it. It would have made it so much better.
Okay, so next time I'll do that. But yes, I thought it was pretty hilarious. So, this does go on through the night. We'll just go ahead and talk about it. They get Elias later in the show, and he does the same thing, and we get the same results. At third time, we get Elias out, and he finally says he was granted a match, and him and Jason Jordan have their match, and, I think a solid back and forth for these guys. Both guys, it's kind of funny because they're both in the same position, right? WWE really wants to showcase him. You can tell Vince loves Elias. He wants Elias to succeed, and they have some hopes for Jason Jordan that he can be something. I don't know if they exactly sold on the babyface train or the heel train or whatever they are, but they are sold on getting Jason Jordan to a good spot. And this match, like I said, a solid back and forth. You do have Jason Jordan rolling up Elias Samson for the 1, 2, 3, and almost some controversy because it looks like Elias did have a shoulder up before the 3, so they probably will carry that on into Monday Night Raw. But what did you think overall, Paul? I mean, were you happy with this? I mean, how did you feel?
I wasn't a fan of the fruit throwing thing, honestly, because one, I like Elias's singing segments. They're always really fun, and the crowd just loves to boo him at those, and I think that's really great, especially for somebody who we didn't have a lick of care for during his NXT days, and suddenly he's kind of turned into a bit of a big deal, I think, over here on Raw. And Jordan is still struggling. I think at times might be even a little generous to say, but by the time we got to the match, I didn't really care, right? I mean, I wasn't really invested, and it's not. I thought the work was good. They went really well back and forth, and there's a few goofs here or there, but I think for something that was probably thrown together pretty quickly, it was fine. I didn't really care for the fruit stuff, and the match didn't interest me like one iota.
Yeah, Jason Jordan's a dick, apparently. That's all I needed. That's all I learned about this. It's like, hey, let me just interrupt your concert here by throwing vegetables and bananas at you because, I can, I guess. I want to get your attention so bad, Elias, that I found the first thing in catering and started throwing it at you. I don't know, but it just... Look, I love Elias' segments too. I said it was a travesty on Twitter that we didn't get to hear him sing because, Jason Jordan is hitting him with stuff, and I think the crowd felt like that too. I don't know how this helps Jason Jordan at all, but yeah, the match was again fine. It wasn't, the storyline is obviously there with what you pointed out, Gary, but I just feel like, all right, it was a match. We put you in the dead spot because we needed a filler, and hey, at least we've done it. You know what? I'll give them credit. At least they, did something with it during the pay-per-view, and it wasn't something they just threw out there or whatever. But it was one of the I don't know if you call it lazy, but just one of the most just okay. This is just random. Thank you.
I will say that this will all be okay if it's because they explain tomorrow on Raw that Jason Jordan was lashing out because Daddy came in and stole his thunder.
Oh man, I can just imagine that, throwing a fit tantrum. That's Dad. I can't believe him.
I can't believe you came in. Main evented the show when I've been working so hard. Ugh.
Or he just wanted Elias to be vegan. I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, can you just imagine? What if on SmackDown you just have Daniel Bryan all just disappointed and crying, like he wasted all that fruit and vegetables. So, do you have any plans how to die for that? I mean, that's just so terrible. Anyway.
Could have fed that to my kid, damn it.
Yeah. I'm going to force my child to eat this. But anyway. I mean, like I said before, I think, we're going to continue on with this whole thing with Silas Young and Jason Jordan. And I'm really curious, how it will end up because they have a lot of the same aspirations, I think, for both guys. They want to build them up. They want to have them going in the right direction. And I think this actually ended the way it needed to, especially to kind of protect both guys. So I'm happy with it. I can't say that I didn't love it.
I wish this was Silas Young, Gary. I really do.
I keep saying Silas Young.
You do.
Oh
it's
my
great.
God. I did this. This is so terrible. I do this on Raw every week, and okay. So here's the thing, guys. I hope I am prophetic. I hope I am saying these things that way. One day, Silas Young's music hits, and we get him on the TV, Monday Night Raw. That's mine. So there you go, Paul. You can give me all the credit once he ends up on Raw.
If it happens, I surely will, buddy.
God. Why? Anyway, Elias. I am so sorry, Elias. In fact, when I say Elias's name, usually I say Elias Sampson. No longer there, Sampson. It's gone. Just Elias. So, well, we're going to leave that alone because I screwed up. We are going to talk about the next match, which is a cruiserweight match. It is a fun little tag we have here between Jack Gallagher and Brian Kendrick, and they take on Cedric Alexander and Rich Swann. And this one, I think was like watching 205 Live. I think it was a fine match. Nothing spectacular on my end. I mean, you guys may disagree, but I thought it was okay. But in the end here, I think the end sequence was actually very entertaining. You have the captain's hook applied by Kendrick to Cedric Alexander. Rich Swann breaks it up by giving him a Phoenix Splash, which causes a lot of mayhem. But in the end, guess who ends up with a lumbar check? That's right, the guy himself, Brian Kendrick. And he doesn't fly as far in the air as a lot of guys recently, but he still loses the match. So there you go. Babyfaces win this one. What do you think, Sean?
Yeah, it was. I thought it was really fun. It was the best thing on the show. At that point, it was like you said. It felt like a match that I'd want to watch 205 Live for. Those guys just went out there. They hit really hard. They went out there to the dives. They did all the fun stuff that you'd imagine them doing. The Phoenix Splash was really cool to see. Just kind of come out of nowhere like that, and hey, they kind of surprised me because I thought that they would kind of carry this on and have Kendrick and Gallagher win by some, nefarious means or something. So,
I thought I thought the same thing too. But this was really fun. Lots of energy, lots of dives. I thought this was sort of what you want every week on 205 Live. You don't always, I think, get this kind of action, and They really came out here and delivered something to get the fans on their feet, even though they weren't all that invested. I think by the end, a good portion of them were at least happy to see Cedric and Rich Swann get that win. And they were color-coded, so make them a tag team right now. Do that.
Yes. Yeah, you have everything that you need for the tag team all in one go right there. As far as Vince would be concerned. Hey, plus they did kind of tell the story, because then the whole thing is that, Kendrick and Gallagher think they're weak. Mm-hmm. So they were constantly hitting them hard to show that we are definitely strong.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very true. And, we have talked about that before also, for the fact that Cedric Alexander and Rich Swann work so well together. And I would love to see those guys in the hunt for the tag team titles, get away from just being cruiserweights and take those shots at, actually becoming title holders of something else besides the cruiserweight title itself, So I would love to see him. I'd love to see him against the Hardys. I'd love to see him against, anyone out there. And of course, Cesaro and Sheamus would be kind of fun too, because there's the style difference, But I still think it'd be a blast. I don't think that they would disappoint us, right? And so let's give him a shot. Let's do that hashtag. You know how they always do the hashtag give him a chance? Let's hashtag give Cedric and Swann a chance.
Yeah.
Hashtag free cruiserweights.
Yeah, there you go. I like that. We should take signs. Paul, that's your mission. When you're in Houston for Survivor Series, hashtag free the cruiserweights. I want to see that sign.
I'm going to be way up there for Survivor Series. I spent the good money on NXT.
Oh, okay.
Smart, man.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not going to deny that. You're definitely smarter, man. Okay, so and then like you guys made some great points. This tag match was fun. It really was, and I think where I'm coming from was I kind of feel like we see these matches sometimes. Not all your guys are right. Not all the time on 205, but I think sometimes there are those great moments where 205 Live gives you a main event worthy of your time and tuning in for that hour. Because you get a lot of generic stuff on there too. So I have nothing wrong to say and bad to say about this match, but I felt like I was watching 205 Live. I didn't feel like I was watching just.
Can we go ahead and talk about the bad part of 205 Live? Because
yeah, we sure can. Let's do it.
Enzo and Kalisto just went and gave us what can be the bad part of 205 Live sometimes, where you just have dull match where one person is working hard and the other person is just they're Enzo.
But look. Here's the thing, though. You got to think about it too. You heard on the mic, Enzo is sick, right? So he's talking like he, is trying to pretend he's Eric Young.
Yeah.
And he can't be Eric Young because Eric Young's amazing. But anyway, in my opinion. Because Canadians are cool. But anyway, my point about this is that you got to know that Enzo
sucking up to some Canadians now.
Hey, Renee's amazing. So let's talk about the fact that we have an opportunity here for Enzo to kind of come into this match, but maybe not feeling the best. Who knows? But would you have gotten a different thing if he was healthy and jumping around and singing music? No. I think it's kind of the same effort, even though he is still sick. So maybe we can throw that excuse in there for him, Sean. I don't think it's true, but in the end, though, you get a match where Kalisto tried very hard. He couldn't overcome that Enzo's not that great. Enzo does his normal cheat, does all that stuff. Enzo steals the title back, and here we go. This is everything we predicted, though. Did we predict anything else different? I don't think so, Sean. I think they gave you what kind of we expected.
Well, it's just nobody cares about Kalisto, too. So it's like absolutely death happening on screen with these guys wrestling. It's like no one cares. It's like they want to cheer Enzo, but they don't know whether they should cheer Enzo, so you just get nothing. And it's like, I just feel bad for Kalisto, but I don't know. Just, it is what it is, I guess.
Yeah, Kalisto tried very hard to make this entertaining, and Enzo was Enzo, basically. Punching bag, all that stuff that you usually get from him in the match, and then he cheats to overcome and wins again, and we're basically back where we started, without the writers writing themselves into a corner now. So I also want to mention that Enzo put me to sleep once again, which is why we got started later. And for that, I blame Enzo for everything. Go away.
If there's any problems ever with Paul, sleeping, he's got insomnia. He just has to look at Enzo and out.
Done. I'm out.
Yep.
Better than Zizaquil.
Man.
I was going to say, you have your answer to not having to buy any of the medicine. Just watch it, some Enzo.
I think Christmas, we're definitely going to have to buy some nice Enzo Amore faced pillowcases for Paul.
I don't know what it is, guys. I've never slept better in my life. Like,
I know. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like you don't need no, beauty rest or, the Tempur-Pedic mattress or anything like that. Just, forget any of that stuff you see on TV. Just, you need Enzo.
Yeah. I'll have to get a hold of our
And then to wake him up, you just have Enzo cut a promo.
Yeah. Oh my God! Yeah, I have to get a hold of our really good friend Harry Broadhurst to find these pillowcases with superstars' faces on him. I know he has an Emma one, but he needs to get some new ones. They got holes in them. So let's move on.
What are you trying? Oh my God! Wow.
Those things wear out. You know what I'm saying?
Wow, Gary.
Sure do, Gary. You're absolutely right.
Some people are harder sleepers than
Holy
others,
crap.
right? So, anyway, moving on to the next thing.
I know he does shows on this network, right? We need him. So.
Oh, no, Harry Broadhurst is amazing. That's why I joke with him, because Harry can take it. Harry's an amazing guy, and if he needs me to, I will suck up to him, and Patrick can suck it. There you go. See, that's why it's sucking up to Harry, right? So, there you go. See, I got points by losing points. I cut even, right?
If you're gonna cut Patrick, you have to say something even more vulgar, because that's how they talk to each other.
Golly, here's the best thing. Look, everybody, if you're listening to us, that's awesome. Continue listening, because we like to have fun too. But those guys love to have fun over there at Wrestling Unwrapped, and they did their own review show for TLC. So go check out theirs too. I wanted to throw that plug in there because I'm talking about them. Might as well plug their great show. So, but you guys are right. This whole thing with Enzo, it's a kind of a blah, we're going to continue on with it, whatever. So there you go. We have another match coming up here, and that is, of course, between Alexa Bliss and one of, I don't want to say Hall of Famers or greatest divas of all time, but one of the people that I think we could definitely say that has had a great career, Mickie James. And they played along with this whole old person thing and all of that. And it's so great to actually have her still be able to do this and be a part of the show. And so I really appreciate what they did here with Alexa Bliss and, Mickie James. They both did, I think, a decent job of it. I think they put on a match that, I think we could be happy with. May not have been, the all-star match that you would love to see in a dream match, but I think it was good. I think they put on a fair one, and you do have Alexa Bliss winning here. I think Mickie James got, a lot of stuff in, and I think she gave the tease that she could win, and I appreciated that. They didn't make this where Alexa cheated and slid under the ring and then got up, quick roll up, 1, 2, 3. No, she won clean, but Mickie James was made to look good here, Sean.
Yeah, she certainly was. She just didn't have enough to win on the evening, but yeah, she gave it everything. They had a good match. I thought Alexa did her part. This was not a, whatever Patrick might want you to think. It's not a Mickie James carry job here. I thought she did a pretty damn good job with the limb work, making sure she worked that arm and having that go into the finish and everything else. So, when you're in there with a veteran, you're obviously going to look better than when you're in there with, just say someone that's at the same level as you. So, but yeah, I think she got to say that she sort of wrestled circles around her. Not all the time, but for parts of that match she did. So I guess mission accomplished.
I think that's what I really liked about this match, is that Mickie got to come out And obviously the whole crux of this thing is that Alexa's basically just been calling Mickey old news and grandma and all this other stuff, and Mickey came out doing a lot of fast-paced stuff, sort of rubbing it in Alexa's face. I really like that. There's a lot of great storytelling going on in this as far as that went, too. So I was equally entertained by this as I was as the Cruiserweight Tag match before this. I think we all knew Alexa was winning, but this was a fun ride getting there for sure, and I would not mind watching these two go at it again.
For sure. And, I love the fact that after the match, they did interview, Mickie James and talk to her, kind of see how she feels. And sure, she's disappointed, but I love the fact that she tells us all that she plans to continue on and have these big matches, and she, is not disappointed in her effort, but there is a possibility, and she fully expects to be the women's champion down the line. So if that's a sneak peek into what could happen, I'm completely happy with it, because I think definitely a great piece of this roster is Mickie James, and I think, these two kind of proved it tonight. I think that they definitely earned their stripes here, so I'm really happy with what we got too. And Alexa Bliss being your champion still, it is something we predicted and something that I think makes a lot of sense, especially going into Survivor Series and all the bragging rights that she's going to have. She's beat almost everyone that's been put in front of her. The only one is Charlotte. So when we go into Survivor Series, that's going to be a big matchup when those two. So I think that's another reason why they kind of had Alexa get the win here. So anyway, this is, what's kind of fun too is we talked about me sucking up to Canadians. I just want to throw a big shout out real quick. I sucked up to the wrong Canadian, Renee, whatever. But hey, Chris Jericho's amazing, because I want a free cruise. So hey, Jericho, just let you know, I'll give you bigger shout outs if you get that free cruise. So, but yes, I'm trying, guys. Come on.
I assume you want to stay on his good side because somebody said Kenny Omega was better than him, and he's like freaking out on people on Twitter. It's wonderful.
I love it. But, I can't say anything because I don't agree with Jericho's sentiments on that. So, I'm gonna.
You are not getting that cruise, Gary.
Yeah, it's not happening now, buddy.
I'm sorry. I can't lie. Okay. So anyway,
we need you just made
at least he's honest, right?
Yeah. But yeah, so moving on from me trying to get a free cruise and failing, we do need to talk about something different because trust me, I can go on and on.
We need that Price is Right, like you failed drop.
Let's talk about something that did not fail in this, and that is AJ Styles versus Finn Balor. And once again, we were not excited about really what we were going to get with Finn Balor on this show. We were looking forward to the Demon versus Sister Abigail, and well, because of illness, now we get something way better. We get AJ Styles, and I think...
Wait, hold on. You just said that you couldn't lie. You just lied right there.
What, AJ Styles?
We were not looking forward. We were not looking forward at all to Sister Abigail and Finn Balor.
No, we weren't. I'm saying we were looking forward to AJ Styles. Was what we were hoping.
Yes.
So, I mean, no, we were not looking forward to that. No, that's what was my point. Is we were getting put in a situation to, we all predicted terrible, match here, and now we get something that we were like, oh wow, this is going to happen? Are you serious? And these two guys put on sometimes a high tempo match, and I think they really did a great job of really giving us some great things here, man. I mean, Paul, I couldn't ask for anything better if they were going to give me an opponent for Finn Balor.
I really enjoyed this too. Lots of great energy. I think you really got a lot of great stuff for something that was probably put together very hastily because they had about 2 days warning, and this is the actual first time they've ever wrestled each other. And what we got out of that was really great. And just thinking about these guys having a feud and being able to build to this in the future, like what kind of matches these guys are going to be able to put on together should be just stellar. But there's a lot of people out there, too, who have been sort of hating on this, saying it didn't meet their expectations. And people very quickly were like, guys, 2 days. 2 days notice to do this. And AJ flew a day's worth on a plane just to be here too. So, unbelievable, I think, what these guys were able to accomplish in 20 minutes that basically just flew by, as they basically did all the hits. And then we get a nice too sweet at the end to keep everybody super happy, except for Carl Anderson, who voiced his displeasure about not getting invited on Twitter.
Oh, poor Carl.
I'd be mad too. I couldn't too sweet with my friends.
Right? I get you fired.
But hey, at
these
least
days.
yeah, at least you're not the Young Bucks. You can't too sweet at all. So but this was great. I think I also had to do the podcast in the middle of this too, so I'm having to go from watching it on mute on the side of me. But yeah, this was it was great stuff. You had Finn having the demon character got to show a little bit because he got to eventually like overpower AJ and all that. But this was guys going back and forth. You know how good they are, right? So they know inherently what makes a great match and what they can do to sort of make this hit that level, but it also helps that the crowd was totally into this too. You know, they were chanting "This is awesome" before the match even started. And we're in freaking Minneapolis. We're not in, one of the big smarky towns or whatever. So even though this, city has history from the AWA and all that, but just I just think it's great that WWE, they could have picked anybody, right, for Finn. They could have picked somebody else on the Raw roster. They could have put Finn in the Shield match instead of Kurt Angle. They could have done a lot of things, and they just said, "Oh, yeah, we're going to give you AJ Styles the first time ever on freaking TLC," and they did that, and then they just let him go out there and have a great match, and no dumb stuff, no Bray Wyatt shenanigans, like having him show up on the screen, no anything, no Baron Corbin appearing for some dumb reason, like just, I'm glad that the match just happened, and exactly what Paul said, you can now be excited for if these two ever get to have a feud, and get to work with each other on house shows and all that stuff before they have the match that you see on TV. Like, imagine what that could be. Mm-hmm. And this was like a 4-star, awesome, great match. Imagine what they could have if they have more time.
I'm right there with you, Sean. And look, I get it. Maybe some people are nitpicking and there's some things that they didn't like, but I'll be honest with you, WWE could have very well gave you Finn Balor versus some random undercard guy that's not going to do anything. They could have done that very well, and you would have been complaining even more than you're complaining about these two guys having a good match that you don't think is grand and great and excellent. That's okay, but just realize this was, like Paul said, a short time span. AJ did fly for 18 hours in a plane, basically after wrestling his match in South America, and then jumping out the plane enough time to get here, get a little bit of R&R, very little, to get in the match and try to have a huge, to do on a big pay-per-view. So I give those guys nothing but props. I'm really happy. This could be something they extend to Survivor Series. Who knows? they could very well say, AJ wants his rematch. He didn't win. He wants to go at it again with Finn. That would be completely cool with me. I don't know about you guys. I would be down. So, but yeah, once again, you got to give WWE the props for at least trying to give you the best quality superstar that they could. So I'm not going to nitpick. And I will say this, the energy building to this match, as you guys had mentioned, was so electric. I love the crowd. This is awesome, all that stuff. But I also loved the fact that I felt like I was watching Ring of Honor for just a split second here in the Too Sweet woo-woos. So that was nice too. So good stuff. Really good stuff. We, I think, only have one last match to talk about here. And what's interesting is, before we get to the actual match itself, is they do give us some segments prior to the match, and you do have Cesaro and Sheamus and The Miz backstage talking about, Kurt Angle being included in the match and how pissed off that the Miz was that he was the one being added, and he thought it was ridiculous, and he was his normal amazing self. I think the Miz did a great promo. Then you of course throw in Braun Strowman and Kane, so they came in and did their thing, kind of basically showing that they were really on the same page in that promo. And then of course later on you do have the Shield and Kurt Angle coming in and them giving him the cut to be a part of the Shield, a full-fledged member of the Shield just for one night. So all that stuff goes down. Did you guys appreciate what they gave you kind of building up to this big match? I mean, did you think anything of it? Do you think it was just kind of filler?
I didn't mind the segments, honestly. I thought the Kurt Angle one was fine. I thought the first one with the Miz and crew was kind of enjoyable because they were sort of sowing the seeds, I think, for what you were going to get during the match pretty well. And especially the pre-match pep talk, too, from Miz, I thought was great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm right there with you. And I think it was very interesting the way the whole thing worked out. I think the one thing I'm going to argue against is I'm just not sure that I was totally sold on Kurt Angle wearing the Shield get up. Mm-hmm. To me, that was a little bit too far-fetched. I just didn't appreciate that, didn't like it. Maybe they needed to do that so he had a little extra padding just in case he broke in half. That's the only thing I can think of. But Sean, I mean, I don't know about you. I just thought that was a little bit too much for me.
I feel like all of that was done so that you can have the big WWE Kurt Angle has his match thing later, where he's wearing his, singlet, and he has his entrance, and even though he did get his music played, when he came back later, I feel like they're saving that for a bigger moment. Like, this was supposed to be, okay, Kurt Angle, you're in Roman Reigns' spot. So you're going to do all the stuff that Roman Reigns would have done, including being the guy that delivers the powerbomb and taking the pin, and trying to sort of, you're going to still do your spots here and there, but you're basically here to be the third member of the Shield, and I think that's what they tried to stick to for the most part, and I give him credit for that. He tried his best for not really, he hadn't even been there when that was going on. Mm-hmm. So, for not having any experience with that, I mean, hey, I do want to say that WWE has the Too Sweet between Finn and AJ as their cover photo right now. So,
just rubbing it in the Young Bucks and the Bullet Club's face.
Oh,
Jesus.
Man. I guess who? But at least Adam Page will never know this. That's true. That's the good thing.
Yeah.
He's not watching any WWE television anymore. He's upset, guys.
Yeah.
So,
just real quick too, Gary. The internet agrees with you as well. There's already a meme floating around of all three of them at the top of the aisleway that they walk down, and Kurt has this big smile on his face, and Dean and Seth look kind of just very straight faced, like they're prepared. And the caption is, "When your dad is more excited for trick or treating than you are."
Oh God, that's amazing! That's so good. Oh God, that is perfect. The best meme I think in a long time, right there. I got to get that one. Oh my God. He did look, I'm sorry, but yes, with those guys, he did look a little old. I kind of felt like, and especially in that getup, like when he wears the color, Sean, he has that youth about him. But when he's wearing all that black and all that, I kind of thought, oh my God, he's showing his age. Like, totally.
Well, but I mean, I would be excited too. It's the first time you're getting to wrestle in like 11 years in WWE. And yeah, I'd be, if I could be skipping, I would too. Like, I don't blame him at all for smiling. It does look weird, right? The meme is hilarious, but it's this match though was very up and down.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah, let's break it down real quick. Let's just let the people know, kind of fill in the blanks really quickly. The Shield kind of start this thing out very dominant, using the chairs to make things even, and they do pretty well by themselves doing that, even getting ready for the table spots pretty early. And then, from there, you finally have things kind of go back in the favor of The Miz. They kind of get some power in this. And you do have later in the match Kurt Angle being taken out because Braun Strowman just takes him chunks into that table, with his finisher, and then you move on from there, and you have the guys trying to get things back to where they need to be, and just kind of chaos. Some of the big spots you have here is Seth Rollins, Dean Ambrose taking out both Braun Strowman and Kane to the tables off the ladders. That kind of put them out of commission for a while. You have, of course, Cesaro and Sheamus kind of working over basically, when we have Kurt Angle come back, working him over, they even use a freaking dump truck in this whole thing. Miz trying to create, the chaos even more. Doesn't work out the way they want it to. I mean, in the end here, what you end up having is you have Kane turning on Braun Strowman, chunking him through the stage, even pulling a nice set of chairs from the ceiling down on Braun Strowman. That doesn't keep Braun Strowman away, though. He does get up, but they do basically have The Miz and all their guys take down Braun Strowman, throw him in the dump truck, and he's sent off. Very much leaving chaos and everything to ensue. Fast forwarding, we do have the Shield, though, coming through and taking on The Miz and beating The Miz, all using their finishers. And Kurt Angle stands tall with these guys. So there's a lot here, a lot more than I can try to sit here and say. I missed a lot. You guys can fill in the blanks, but you're right, Sean. A lot went down here. I'm really kind of curious how you felt about it overall.
Paul, go ahead.
Sorry. Still looking for that meme. This was way too long, in my opinion, and it doesn't help. I think that they gave you the good stuff up front. You have, I think, a lot of the really cool and chaotic fun spots, basically happening pretty quick and rapid fire at the beginning. Kurt Angle gets taken out, and you're sort of just left to watch Seth and Dean get their ass handed to him for about 10 minutes. And it's not really all that particularly exciting. And then you have the Kane and Braun turning on each other, which was sort of out of left field a little bit. I understood the explanation, but it sort of quickly happens, and then suddenly Kane is killing Braun. And then Kane feels like this huge deal for the rest of the match, so much so that it takes Seth and Dean spearing him through the barricades again to keep him down. And then here comes Kurt to be the hero, which is great, right? I think you could tell as he was walking back down how much this really meant to him, because he got to come in and basically be the hero. And whenever he pins Miz, too, he gets up and he just has this giant shit-eating grin on his face. It's just... I thought that was really great, just how Kurt sort of got to react to everything. And there's a lot of fun spots in this. I don't think this needed to be 35 minutes, guys. I really don't.
Yeah, that beatdown felt like it took forever. Oh, and if you want to find that meme, I think somebody posted it in our chat. So you could probably find it there. But yeah, I mean, that's the thing, too, right, is they gave you like a great 10, 15 minutes, and then, oh boy, here we go. We got to have the Shield get beat down. Poor Dean Ambrose, twice. The table did not break for him, and I worry about his back a lot. It's that could not feel good at all to just hit that, and it just stays there. Mm-hmm. So... I think for the most part, yeah, the ladder, jumping off the ladders into the announce table, the Kurt Angle coming in and doing the Germans and all that, and then after that, then they just took forever. Then you had I like this thing with the garbage truck was nice because it was playing into what Miz said before. Earlier in the night, but then they took too long with that too, And it's this thing with Kane and Braun was just kind of like, oh my god, this took a while to like. Okay, this kind of I know that like Kane hit him earlier, but this was like, wow, we waited this long to now have Braun attack Kane, and then here comes the choke slam off the thing, and just you just had parts where it was just really slow, and they were obviously trying to drag it out because they knew they had to kill time. And then, they did a good job of once Kurt Angle came back in of kind of ramping it back up again, and it had a really good pace to the finish. Just in between there was kind of slow. I thought it was still pretty good though for being chaotic and having the fun stuff in it.
Yeah. I was going to say, I don't think the length or any of that really took away the enjoyment I got out of a lot of this match. It's just there are some times where you kind of have to suffer through parts that just kind of make you your attention wander, and that I don't think that's really what you want from what's closing out the show.
Right.
No, I'm not denying that either, because I did myself kind of start to think about other things, getting ready for the show, trying to check out the score, the Patriots game and all that stuff. I mean, I was just, sitting there thinking about, many things as I'm trying to like focus on the match, but, they kind of, the beatdown's lasting a little too long. So now my mind's starting to wander, and you guys are right about that. So it's kind of the price you pay for a big main event like this, and the fact that they wanted to stretch it out this long. And hey, I mean, I still think you got a solid TLC match. Maybe not the best one I've ever seen, but still, I think a very solid match here. And I think something that people can look back on some of these spots on and say, okay, I really appreciate that. I think these guys did this, and this, and it's good. And you have Kurt Angle coming back, which is, I think, one of the biggest selling points of this, right? Especially with the lack of Roman Reigns on this. Really, because, I feel like he was still going to be the center of the attention. I really felt that way. Kane kind of took a lot of attention in this, and even Braun to an extent, but I really felt the loss of Roman Reigns here because of what they were going to do kind of changed plans, and you think you could kind of tell it to an extent because you notice how much homage they paid to Roman Reigns in this. It wasn't just one guy doing it. It was 2, 3. They were really making that known that, hey, the big dog's not here. Let's pretend. If I wouldn't have known any better, I'll be honest with you, this sounds morbid, but if I had not known that, Reigns was sick, just, because he's just going to be there because of a lot of other things, medical issues, I would have thought the guy died. Literally. They were paying so much homage to him, and I was thinking, oh my God.
I think they just wanted to make sure that you knew that Roman Reigns was there in spirit or whatever.
That's my point.
That you didn't forget about Roman Reigns. Not that he died. It was I don't know. I would have. It just kind of felt like, hey, don't forget now, Roman Reigns.
Mm-hmm.
What I said, Kurt Angle is basically just supposed to be Roman Reigns, but Kurt Angle. And we'll let you do your Angle slams and your Angle lock and all that, but hey, you got to do all of Roman's poses and stuff and look weird while you do it too. That was so weird at the end. He's doing the big old Roman pose, and I'm just like, wow, that's why,
oh boy, it goes back to that Halloween meme. Hey kids, I'm Roman Reigns. Watch me do I can't do the Superman punch because I can't jump that high. But anyway, I just know that now that we missed an entire main event of 16 Superman punches, I can't wait till that Raw match when he comes back where we get 32. So,
well, now I need to know, did Braun Strowman survive the garbage truck?
According to the crowd, it was murder, so I'm going to go with no.
It's murder. Man.
How do they explain this?
I want to know the intricacies. I really do. My God, he can survive getting slammed into it by another, a vehicle through an ambulance, getting crushed. Mm-hmm. And then he gets crushed by this.
Trick, Gary. Just let it be.
I guess so. I mean, Vince McMahon can survive an explosion in a limo, so what am I thinking here? I mean, of course is he alive, right?
I just want to know, are they going to have the garbage truck show up on Raw and then he's going to, like, get out of it?
Just
or
pop out of the back like nothing happened.
Yeah.
Here's what I have. I want them to make an illusion where it's like a square piece of trash and he pops out of the trash. Like, he survived. Don't worry. Even get squished into a cube. He's alive, So, anyway, I think it's going to be fun. Whatever they do. But I think, it's great that they do have some of those gimmicks and things like that because, once again, it makes it fun. It's memorable. People like me around the water cooler. Did you watch TLC? Yeah, did you see this, that, and that? I think they gave you lots of those moments you can talk about, right? So, that's the good thing. At least we're not talking about something that was a failure. So. But yeah, there's one last thing we got to do on this show, and that is, of course, rate it. So here we go. What did you get this thing, Paul?
This for a show I had absolutely zero expectations for. This was still pretty fun, other than really the Cruiserweight title match and maybe the way you presented Asuka. There's not a ton else I think I'd really change. I think a 6. I think feels about right here. It wasn't out of this world amazing, but I was certainly thinking this was going to be somewhere closer to the Bret Hart special range, and this was a nice surprise that I wasn't.
Fair enough. Sean, what did you think overall?
I'll give it a 6.5 just for the for them actually going in and having the Finn and AJ match and having it go the whole time with no shenanigans and it being the great match it was. And then, you had a pretty good main event. Yeah, it had its lull times, but it was still really fun to watch. And all the chaos made for what you wanted it to be. Asuka got the debut, whether we particularly cared much or a lot about how she was presented. And she got the win, which is important because there's, people thinking, oh God, would they make her lose? So there's that too. They could have been told douches about that. So yeah, there were things that for the most part, other than the Enzo and Kalisto, everything else delivered and was either from fine to great. So I mean, that's better than what we thought this series was going to be, right? So yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I think you guys are pretty on point here. I think if I was going to give it a 7 or 8 or something like that, it had to have a lot more just really solid matches. I think there was entertaining matches. I think they weren't so much as grand or excellent. So I think a 6 is right where I sit. I feel like that they gave us at least a great main event, and that Finn and AJ match did not disappoint me. But basically, I think still we got momentum going, but yet it was not over the top. I think 6 is fair. So, but there you go, people. We definitely appreciate you joining us tonight. We've had a lot of fun. TLC was an interesting show for sure, and we'll be talking about all the fallout from this year's TLC when we do our Monday Night Raw review, excuse me. So we'll be looking forward to that tomorrow, and we'll also be giving you some SmackDown Live, NXT, and of course, don't forget 205 Live. We'll be getting onto all those shows and our review shows this next week, and we'll also be doing our regular episodes of Wrestling to the Max. They'll be available Tuesday morning and Friday morning for your pleasure. Really excited about these shows coming up. We've got lots of good stuff, and I'm sure, trust me, lots of news will be coming out, I'm sure, after this big TLC about real-life things, injuries, sicknesses, and, of course, other big things going on in the world of wrestling you're not going to want to miss. And also, once again, I did mention them earlier. I'm going to mention them again. If you haven't heard yet, if maybe you've already listened to them or you haven't, Wrestling Unwrapped did their own TLC 2017 review. Go check it out if you haven't already listened to it. Those guys, Harry Broadhurst and Patrick Ketzer, are really great. They're a lot of fun. So go check out their show. And the best way to go find this show and theirs is, of course, by going to the W2Mnet.com. That's right. You can go find all your great wrestling content there and a lot more. And hey, if you want to go subscribe and get all those shows I told you about earlier, make sure you go subscribe at Wrestling to the Max. You'll get all of our stuff. And of course, if you want all the stuff like us and WU, make sure you go to the Wrestling to the Max's network, which is, of course, the W2M network. Go subscribe there, rate and review there too. So some great places you can find us. Make sure we get some big love over to 411mania.com and last word on prowrestling.com. Really appreciate everything they do for us. And there you go. A lot of great things coming this week. Don't miss us. We're going to have a lot of fun. Until then, if you're not living life to the max,
Not living life at all.
You know it.
Please.
yeah.
The following podcast is a W2M Network original production. Visit W2Mnet.com for all of our other great podcasts, plus news, reviews, articles, and opinions from the worlds of wrestling, video games, football, and entertainment.